threes. Michael DeVoe on Tuesday in Tallahassee, he knocked down 6.
When you think of DeVoe, you think of efficiency. This guy's been doing it efficiently beyond the arc, and he's been doing his damage efficiently in pursuit of 2s. He is the head of the snake. Can he get the Georgia Tech team going here on the road in a hostile environment?
They get a chance against an 8-5 Carolina team that is 1-1 in the ACC, and with history hanging in the balance for its current head coach. 879 wins for both Roy Williams and the late Dean Smith, his mentor. Robinson lost it, and an early turnover 20 seconds in. Here's Jose Alvarado, who missed so much time with a high ankle sprain. He's back. He's the point guard once again for Tech. DeVoe is the top 5 scorer in the ACC. Moses Wright with the shot clock winding down, working on Garrison Brooks off the window. UNC has had to shuffle the deck with all the injuries. Yes, Cole Anthony is still out. Jeremiah Francis has been impressive recently.
Yeah, and he's had to provide stability at that point guard position. Almost fits personnel-wise, because he likes to play downhill and attack more.
Long 2 doesn't go for Brooks, but a second chance. And another offensive rebound, a big concern for Josh Pastner.
Where the Tar Heels can really flex, Mike, the ability to pursue second chance. Sometimes rebounding and second chance has been their best offense.
Foul goes on Jordan Usher, the transfer from Southern Cal.
Carolina, the best rebounding team in the nation, averaging nearly 45 boards per game. Georgia Tech almost 10 less than that. One of the worst rebounding teams in the country.
Another turnover, though, for North Carolina. Usher always has the foot on the gas pedal. Leaky Black got him from behind, and the ball belongs to the Tar Heels.
Comes some of that full court pressure. They're going to really test Jeremiah Francis as well as the rest of these guards to see if they can handle it, take care of it. Georgia Tech, struggling offensively, is going to look for defensive possessions to get their offense going.
And why not try to wear down the Carolina backcourt? Because remember the late news that broke just a couple of days ago. Anthony Harris, torn ACL, unfortunately, to his other knee this time, so he's out for the year. And again tonight, no Andrew Platek, misses his 2nd straight game with an ankle injury. And a 3rd Carolina turnover.
Incredible.
DeVoe coming off 6 threes against Florida State in the loss on the road, and James Banks rips down an offensive rebound.
In traffic, gotta love the fight from a nearly double-double guy for the Yellow Jackets.
Part of the starting group for Josh Pastner. Usher with the footwork, couldn't get it to drop. Brooks, comfortable in the mid-range, but he swirls it out, and DeVoe gets to it. Alvarado ahead of the pack. 2 more. And a delay of game warning perhaps on Alvarado as they were tossing the ball back to the inbound man. There's Harris. We touched on him, and such devastating news. The locker room, by all accounts, after he suffered the torn ACL at the end of the game Monday, was just devastated and racked with emotion. And a guy who's been playing so well for them recently.
Yeah, and it's just really tough. You talk about what could have been for North Carolina. Whole lot of season, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. But yet another blow this Tar Heels team has been dealt.
Black off a good shot fake, just couldn't hit. Georgia Tech 6-7 overall, 1-2 in the ACC. Did already get a win down here in the Triangle to start the season at NC State in overtime.
Tar Heels fans made a wise decision, not wait for the first basket to take a seat. Might be standing for a while.
Alvarado up for Banks with one arm.
That's what a healthy Alvarado gives you on this team. He puts guys in pristine scoring position.
3.5 minutes without points for the Tar Heels. right off the bounce. Follows his own miss, and an 8-0 start for Georgia Tech. I am stunned that Carolina's come out this flat with what's on the line, history in the making potential. Armando Bacot will head to the line and a chance at Carolina's first points. In a highlight film game, if you said that, I'd be thinking it's in Carolina's favor, but no, Alvarado cuts up the defense, goes upstairs to Banks, and then Moses leads men here, goes off the glass, gets it himself. You don't ever see that versus North Carolina, most especially on their home floor. They're dominant on the backboard. A guy misses and tip dunks his own rebound. It's unacceptable. Armando Bacot, the freshman from Richmond, Virginia. Good on both. I got to see him get going here, Mike. For a team that's struggling, this guy, to me, is a future lottery pick at some point. He's got to get going for this team. Demand the basketball, second chance, rim runs, do something to get this offense going. A 6-point lead for Tech. Alvarado gets to the rim. It's been a few possessions now with KJ Smith in the game, replaced Francis early on. Remember, Carolina with those 3 early turnovers. And a traveling call against Georgia Tech. With history in the balance for Roy Williams, we'll discuss more of that on the other side. His team down 8 early. As he starts to narrow in and potentially pass Dean Smith as the all-time winningest coach in program history, or in Division I history, moving into that 4 slot above Dean Smith. It's because of what Dean Smith means to the state of North Carolina, to college basketball, and most especially to people in this community. That was the guy he looked up to, and he doesn't want him passing him to change how people look at him. And the whole idea of talking about Roy Smith is he better? Is Roy Williams, is he better than Dean Smith? He doesn't want that conversation. It was fascinating. You asked him today at shoot-around, as much as he doesn't want to get into this, what is the one game or the one memory, as Carolina turns it over again, that stands out? And Roy Williams said it was the first game after Dean Smith passed away in 2015. Carolina was playing Georgia Tech, and he was telling us how, of course, they came out in the 4 corners, and he had been practicing it with his team, dribbling, which brought some great reactions from his players. Yeah, and it always comes back, you'll hear in these conversations, to the legendary Dean Smith. But Coach Roy Williams also talked about how senior nights are some of the best memories of his because of what these players mean to him. As reverent as he speaks about Coach Dean Smith, the same holds for his players. 4 turnovers, now a tie-up, and the arrow belongs to Georgia Tech. So as much as we can talk history, here's Georgia Tech 5 minutes in, already up by 8. Yeah, it's how Georgia Tech has done it, which it has to be floored, to be quite honest. 10 points in the paint for Georgia Tech. Not for North Carolina, Mike, for Georgia Tech. That is stunning, and it screams effort, lack thereof, from the Tar Heels out of the gates. Good backdoor cut by Usher. Oh, a little slippery with the handle, and now the shot clock winding down. Alvarado sees it, matched up with Francis. A deep one. Got it! Jose Alvarado. He brings some sauce. He brings some spice to the game, doesn't he? Guy who's really been struggling offensively by his own admission. He's got 7 in the first 6 minutes. Now this is where Garrison Brooks, when he's posting, he's too tentative. Demand the basketball. Barry Banks, a call for it. Be demonstrative. He's got it now on the face-up on Banks. Tough shot. Too strong. And it stays at this end with 2 on the shot clock. It's that New York point guard feel. Shot clock winding down. This is what Georgia Tech was devoid of for some time due to the injury of Alvarado, but he's back in a big way. How about the reaction as well? Think he's feeling good here on the road? That's that showmanship. That comes with being a New York point guard. With 2 seconds on the shot clock, an ambitious lob leads to a run out. Alvarado's feeling it. Back iron and the rebound to Black. Carolina has still not made a shot from the floor. 0 of 8 now. And I'll tell you, they got some good looks. Some of these mid-range shots, it's just lack of conversion, but it's not the shot selection. DeVoe turns it over.
Where Georgia Tech's vulnerable. I'm going to give that basketball to you. 20 turnovers in their last outing in that Florida State loss. You were on hand for it.
Yeah, Josh Pastner said 95% of our time's focused on that. Robinson bricks one from deep.
Robinson has to be the guy to give them something beyond the arc. And this place is silent. It's supposed to be a huge day for North Carolina fans.
Alvarado on the drive, count it, and the foul. And he has 9 early on.
Look how easy this path is. Alvarado almost kind of gave the defense, got them on their heels because of the look-off, but he was determined with that path all the way to the goal. The pass to the rim have been so big. The help side has been lacking. Communication has not been there. I'm telling you, the first 7 minutes of this game is as flat of a start of any team I've seen in this conference this season. With what's on the line, it doesn't get more bewildering.
Offensive rebound. Usher brought it down for DeVoe, and Roy Williams has gone deep into the bench. Shea rushes in. Brandon Huffman is in as well.
That just screams desperation. You're not getting it from your guys.
Shot clock at 5.
And DeVoe loves this matchup.
Usher, no. Carolina ball. Wow. Josh Pastner thinks that his team is finally and fully at full strength. 4th season at the helm. We told you about the Jose Alvarado injury. And then another big piece they didn't have for the first chunk of the season, Jordan Usher, after a transfer last year, didn't become eligible until after the first semester.
And Coach Pastner said, you know, we're not where we want to be recruiting 5 stars quite yet, so we got to be 5-star in our development of our guys. Look no further than a guy like Moses Wright, what he's been able to bring to this team in his junior season, averaging nearly 13 a game.
Alvarado just picked it from Rush, and the follow is there. Asante Price, and it's a 15-point Tech lead. A foul on the perimeter. Second foul you see on Jose Alvarado.
And if you're looking for offense, it's going to be really hard to find it right now with this lineup that the Tar Heels have out there.
And if you're Alvarado too, Jordan, you've been playing so well early on, and you picked that one up outside the 3-point arc.
Yeah, that's who he is. He plays with a high motor, and it's contagious with the rest of the team. Look how they're guarding.
Christian Keeling just threw it right to Evan Cole. And on the other end, a lay-in for Khalid Moore, and finally, a Roy Williams timeout.
And then Keeling gets beat down the floor. Where is the effort? I mean, check it out. Look at the intensity of Alvarado. Gets the steal. He ain't done yet. To the tip. Get the feeling he's more like 5'11", but he's been the biggest presence out of the gates. 5 steals already. Highly active and highly productive. Giving you the dance. And oh yeah, he's taking it to the rim. Georgia Tech 16 points in the paint. Plays like that. This team has come out here with a fire. UNC is strolling into this one, thinking they're going to be gifted a win. That ain't the case.
More than 8 minutes in, and still no made field goals for Carolina to go along with 8 turnovers to this point. Saw Alvarado on the bench. Yes, he does have the 2 fouls, so Bubba Parham runs the point. The VMI transfer. Back iron. And a scrap for the loose ball. And it stays with Georgia Tech.
Just grab it. Running for 50-50s. It hasn't been a lot of grab rebounds in traffic aside from the one Banks grabbed earlier. These are hustle plays. Georgia Tech winning a lion's share. Good swing.
Khalid Moore gives it up for Evan Cole. Too strong. And Moore got it back for Price. And a reach-in foul committed by Khalid Moore.
And I'll tell you, Khalid Moore fouls in the backcourt, but yet still I'm not mad at it. That is what's fueled this very big lead from Georgia Tech. Just playing with high energy, being disruptive on both sides of the floor, and being physically imposing. That was no different than what's got them to this point. A 17-point lead in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Still no made field goals, as you see. And finally, Brooks, Baycott, Black, they return for Roy Williams, who's trying anything. Almost another turnover.
Hey, if you look at the body language, the faces on the floor, these guys are sleepwalking. They look shell-shocked. It's just, I did not expect this kind of offering from the Tar Heels today.
A foul in the post as Brooks was posting up on Banks, and it's the first on James Banks, the third. So what do you do at this point if you're Roy Williams?
You got to beat Brooks and Baycott and say it's time for us to really flex some muscle inside. We didn't come out as imposing as we should be. There's 30 minutes left of basketball for us to make a statement.
Well, they did go to Baycott, who then battled for the rebound, and he gets tagged with a foul.
And look, that's fine. Baycott's had a few deliveries at the rim, point blank, that he hasn't converted, like that sequence we just saw. But that's who he is. That's how he's productive. That's where he's put up these monster games doing that. So put that in the rear view, go pursue the next one.
Parham skips it again. Benson did a nice job getting back on Khalid Moore. Moses Wright with the step back. That's short. Baycott secures it.
Run.
Francis has done a lot of that over the last few games. He had the shot altered, and Bubba Parham picks up a foul. So Francis to the line. Back-to-back starts for him. Played nearly 30 minutes in the win over Yale here on Monday. Tuesday night, it is number 19 Virginia taking on Boston College at Connie Forum in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. 7 Eastern right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Virginia got a win over Virginia Tech today, kept the Hokies below 40, and Braxton Key was terrific with a double-double.
Shoot, you talk about Virginia, the promo. It's almost like Carolina's playing Virginia again with the offensive output, and the crowd has come alive because the Tar Heels have hit 4 points.
All from the free throw line past the midway point of this first half.
Doing everything they can to try and give this team some life. Give them a boost.
Khalid Moore draws a foul on Leaky Black, his second.
Here's the thing, too. When 18 and 22-year-old kids, you generated 4 points, you played 10 minutes of basketball. You start to get a little lazy defensively, and you don't have that bounce in your step because you're not seeing the ball go in offensively. So you're still, the emotions are lingering from the ineffectiveness on that side of the floor, and you're not as locked in and guarding like you should be.
DeVoe wide open. Carolina fortunate.
Francis got caught up there on a screen, didn't fight through it. There you go.
You wanted some high-low, you wanted the guys in the post, and Brooks missed it. Right on the drive. We'll go to the free throw line to shoot 2.
It's got to be a stance. I mean, Wright catches that at the three-point line and attacks the closeout beautifully to get right into the paint. The closeout was poor, help side wasn't there in time. The culmination of all that earns Wright an opportunity at the free throw line.
Junior back in his home state here in Raleigh. A native from there, not too far from where we are in Chapel Hill. The ACC Player of the Week, been playing so well recently, averaging 17 and 8 over his last 4 games. And a product of what you talked about earlier. Maybe not the huge 5-star recruits, but 5-star development.
development, and it's a young man who does a lot of his work inside the arc, capable of stretching the defense out, but likes to attack those closeouts, has great length, legit athleticism, and simplifies the game. Does a lot of attacking driving lanes, rim runs, second chance opportunities to be as productive as he is.
He also forced Bacon to the bench with 2 fouls.
Keep in mind, this was expected to be low scoring. The margin being this wide for Georgia Tech, unexpected, but Yellow Jackets can guard now. Don't sleep on their ability to defend.
They forced a 9th turnover.
Give it up.
Wright was calling for it. Usher on the drive, and the scoop. What a beautiful reverse from Jordan Usher. Oh, of 14 now, and DeVoe secures it. Right the hammer and a foul.
Let me put this in perspective numerically. Georgia Tech, 20 points in the paint. And look how easy it comes here. Moses Wright, what kind of defense is that from Pierce? Just goes right around him with ease, like it's a walkthrough. I mean, that is too easy at any level of basketball.
And Wright stamps a 3-point play that has Roy Williams just searching for answers.
North Carolina doesn't have a field goal. They're 0 of 14.
With those 9 turnovers, that is a tough shot from Leaky Black. Right back door, a jam again.
The effort is in real big question right now. I have to be honest, watching, like, these are really good players on North Carolina's side. To give up what they're giving up at the goal is, I gotta say it flatly, is unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
DeVoe came to dig down on the double, and it sends us to a timeout. 27-4 here in the first half in Chapel Hill.
Georgia Tech is humming, staying active, moving without the basketball. Moses Wright, elation. Offensive side. Now, where I take serious issue, forget the misses, but you're letting the emotion of the inability to convert on that and bleed over to your effort defensively. And that's where I can't ride with the team that is going to give up and allow what they're allowing in the half-court setting defensively. Dribble drives to the rim, slam dunks, putbacks. You're the more physically imposing front line, and yet still the dominant front line, the dominant team has been Georgia Tech without question.
What is it? Is it some of that history?
Oh, it's hard, man.
Is it losing Anthony Harris?
Oh,
what is it?
No, Mike, this is about taking pride in the jersey. This is North Carolina. The guy sitting on the sidelines is on the precipice of passing Dean Smith for wins. That's the guy you're playing for. This kind of effort is it's unacceptable. Like, at some point, you got to take pride in defending. Forget that you're not making shots. There is no way you should be down 27-6. And I give a lot of credit to Georgia Tech for how they came out here. They understood there's an opportunity. They haven't won in this building in 10 years, since 2010. And they saw a vulnerable North Carolina team, and they've come out here to tackle them.
And look at this, Robbie O'Han is coming in, a senior who just got added to the varsity in October. It sent his parents crying. That's what they're doing right now without any other answers.
And the Anthony Harris thing, I get it. I played with guys that you hate to see them get injured. It was an emotional locker room when Harris went down with the other ACL. A guy who was just starting to come into his own, having returned from another ACL on the opposite leg, but nobody's going to feel sorry for you.
Same play on a baseline out of bounds, and it's Bubba Parham with the exact look DeVoe had earlier.
This team does not have a field goal. If you're just turning on, North Carolina has yet to convert from the field.
13 minutes and 10 seconds into the game. How's that for a Bronx cheer?
I'd be angry. As you look down low, this is where the game needs to go from here on out for Carolina. It's how it should have started. It's how it needs to remain from here to the conclusion. Garrison Brooks has been your most consistent performer since Cole Anthony has left. Get him involved, and Armando Bacon needs to come along as well.
Ohan exits. Perhaps he was the answer to get the first made field goal. Knowing smile from him, KJ Smith replaced him. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll take you to the KFC Yum Center for Duke and number 7 Louisville women's basketball. 2 Eastern right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app. A couple of free throws for Bubba Parham. Remember, Jose Alvarado still on the Georgia Tech bench with a couple of fouls.
This team's very, very disjointed right now. Can't even get receivers to meet the pass from Pierce on the out of bounds under right now. The inbound, excuse me.
Trying to get the shot clock down a second. And they do to 29.
And I've been on the other end, unfortunately, of a lopsided losing effort. There's so much game left. Carolina needs to take their eye away from the scoreboard and just play. Can't worry about the deficit. There's 26.5 minutes of game play left in this one. A lot of game. Don't get caught up in the fact that you're at 8 points with 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half. Just play.
So you got the 1-and-1 here. And by the way, that was the second foul on Mike DeVoe as well, Georgia Tech's leading scorer. Right side is that Carolina is 6 of 6 and now 7 of 7 at the free throw line. We saw Garrison Brooks walking into the shoot-around today. He was rocking the Bo Jackson Raiders jersey. Bo Jackson, an Alabama native. Garrison Brooks grew up 30 minutes from Bo's alma mater, Auburn. This has not gone the way they had it planned earlier this afternoon. And Brooks with a bump well away from the cup, and that's his second. Remember, Bacon Black with 2 as well.
And he's trying to show hard, try and get the dribbler coming off of that screen to retreat dribble, but you got to execute, not just force your body into him. That's the right whistle.
1-and-1 for Bubba Parham, the junior from Snellville, Georgia. And on the Georgia Tech side, you have come here, you have knocked down shots. And remember, we started the night talking about how offense has been a real trouble spot for Josh Pastner's team as well. Tech will change defenses, mix between their matchup zone and man.
They're showing the matchup zone right now, and it's wildly confusing for UNC.
And the foul is on Alvarado. That's his 3rd.
It's huge.
He had just come back into the game when Parham was at the free throw line.
And I think Georgia Tech's going to move to sit him probably the remainder of the half. 3.
More than any head coach in the entire country. Josh Pastner, if a guy has 2 fouls in the first half, he will let you play.
Yeah.
Players love it. But the downside, a 3rd foul with 6:06 left in the first half on Alvarado.
Yeah, there's just really no need for it. When you've been getting what they've been getting, I mean, Alvarado has 5 steals in this one. Carolina's been turnover prone. So they're just seeing the ball and going to get the ball with reckless abandon because it's benefited them. But right there, you just can't.
Well, Brooks has been knocking him down at the line. He's got 8 points, 6 of 6 at the stripe, and now a dozen in total for the Tar Heels. Double on Parham. Passes out of it to Usher.
The defense.
Lost his footing.
Pierce was in position, help side. Startled Usher.
Good cut by Usher, right down the lane. You've been calling for Garrison Brooks, and he rolls it down.
Got to have more of that. And for those watching, probably wondering, all right, what's a number North Carolina needs to get it to make it worthwhile in the second half? You throw that out the door. You really do not worry about scoring. Just try to play winning basketball for these last 5 minutes. There's not a number.
Offensive foul call.
Now you come right back down offensively and say, Garrison Brooks, give us something. Your perimeter doesn't have it. Let's take a look here. Barnum on a drive, and Pierce in good position. Just felt like it was a little late in play, but Pierce last few sequences has been in good position help side. Now there's still that dunk that was given up point blank range, but I think that was on Brooks not being in position.
It looked like Pierce was ready for that pass from KJ Smith at the other end.
They need to put it on the floor.
They're camping out on Garrison Brooks, and a reach-in foul on DeVoe, and that is 3 on Michael DeVoe.
And these are your two best players. One could argue, you could throw Banks in the mix, you could throw Wright in the mix, but DeVoe and Alvarado, that's your backcourt. Both those guys with 3 fouls, that's huge. I don't care what the lead is.
And then your number 3 guard, Bubba Parham, he's got 2 fouls of his own.
Carolina's doing something right.
DeVoe to the bench with his 3rd, replaced by Santi Price, the freshman. Brooks, the junior from Lafayette, Alabama. 8 of 8 at the line. A trap along the sideline. Nearly a turnover. And now Carolina does get it, and a reach-in foul will be the 2nd foul on Banks now.
We got a long way to go, but wouldn't this be a story if North Carolina could come storming back and make this a game? With the history that's on the line for that man right there, Coach Roy Williams, looking to surpass his mentor, who means everything to North Carolina basketball, and Dean Smith on the all-time wins list.
I mean, there's so many things, Jordan, about this game that you just can't really make up. More than 13 minutes until the first made field goal. You've got 4 different players on Georgia Tech with at least 2 fouls, and the 2 best players on the team with 2 fouls or 3 fouls apiece.
Yeah, and those are your guys who dominate the basketball. That's your backcourt. When we talked with Coach Pastner pregame today at their shoot-around, he said our guards have to be special for us to have a chance. Well, they have been. Got to stay eligible. Can't foul out, or they've already in foul trouble, so that's going to decrease their minutes, no question.
A couple of misses from the line for Justin Pierce, the grad transfer from William & Mary. Parham off the bounce. Well short, rebound Pierce. All Brooks right now for Carolina offensively. Rebound Usher.
Playing too fast, moving too quickly. In that half-court setting, when Brooks gets the touch, take a beat. Give him spacing, isolate him, allow him to operate. Everything moving too fast.
Parham kicks. Offensive foul, and now Parham, stop me if you've heard this, has 3 fouls. 20-point game in Chapel Hill. Who saw this coming?
You leave it to me.
Eastern, right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app, and this is just part of a wild day across the ACC.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a silver lining, Tar Heels fans out there, take a look at this graphic. Foul trouble for the Yellow Jackets, and those are prominent pieces to the puzzle for Coach Pastner's squad. It's your backcourt, Alvarado, DeVoe, Parham. That's your rim protector and interior presence in Banks.
7 guys combined on both teams with at least 2 fouls. You saw The guys with 3 fouls apiece as we tick below 4 minutes left in this first half. KJ Smith on the step through with a scoop.
How close to a 10-point deficit can you get this in the last 3 minutes? You're not going to get it to single digits. How close towards single digits can you get to?
Usher nearly lost it. That's what you were talking about earlier. Is there a number you try to point
But
to?
they can't be thinking about that on the floor. And I know Coach Williams is beating into their heads. Don't worry about that.
Moses Wright has a dozen. Brandon Robinson. He connects. Usher answers.
What a response. Jordan Usher, 1 of 13 from 3 coming in.
And then he grabs the loose ball. Jordan Usher hit the 3. Josh Pastner was furious about something, and it looked like Usher was just talking to his head coach coming up the floor. Price on the baseline.
Robinson beat flagrantly on the back door. Just sold, no sense of urgency, and that is textbook.
Brooks has been the guy for Carolina. He's got 14 and has made 3 of the 4 Tar Heel shots.
He continues to deliver for a team that is really struggling.
Georgia Tech turns it over. We showed you Anthony Harris. Remember, no Cole Anthony. Monday will mark 3 weeks. The timetable was 4 to 6 for him as Justin Pierce gets involved. Khalid Moore, nice dump off, and Wright lost it. Cole drops it back in. North Carolina all of a sudden has made 6 of its last 7 field goals. Tough shot for Christian Keeling. Go figure, that one goes down.
Well, now your offense is starting to find some consistent baskets and scoring. But in this zone, you got to keep the perimeter opponent in front of you. Guys get beat off the dribble and try to disadvantage, and then the world is the Yellow Jackets in terms of shot selection.
About a 2-second difference between game and shot clocks for the Yellow Jackets. Wright has been rolling in these first 20 minutes. 14 for Moses Wright. Robinson did not get it off. And what a wild first half here in Chapel Hill.
Moses Wright gets great position, buries Pierce, quick decision. Are you ready for this? 32 points in the paint for Georgia Tech. The team at a decided disadvantage, one would have thought in the interior, not with Wright and Banks. Most notably Wright, what he's been able to bring, and also throw those guards from Georgia Tech in there, cutting up this perimeter defense, getting whatever they want.
20-point lead on a night that started with us talking about potential history for Roy Williams. After the break, it's Katie George, Luke Hancock, and Seth Greenberg. See what they have to say about this one.
6 minutes left in the first half. Those frustrations offensively carried over to the defensive end. I talk about that lacking a sense of urgency. The numbers, well, they speak for themselves. You're right, Mike. This is the most surprising so far thing we've seen on a court in conference today. We've talked about history of Roy Williams passing Dean Smith. The history made in the first half was this is the largest halftime deficit in Dean Smith Center history. It's Georgia Tech. And I'm not knocking it, but this is 6-17, 1-2 in a conference. Coach Pastner didn't expect this where they are right now, but they got to close it out with another half. We've seen crazy things. What will the second half play?
A building that opened in 1986, and it starts the second half with Garrison Brooks, who had 14 in the first half.
Got to have a fight. If you're the Tar Heels, doesn't matter what the outcome is at this point, you better fight to make Georgia Tech close this one out.
And on the Georgia Tech side of things, they shot 56% from the floor in the first 20 minutes. Jose Alvarado got off to the great start. He's got 3 fouls, much like DeVoe. Offensive foul on Moses Wright, who points to the restricted arc.
First 2 plays out of the gates for Carolina needs to be their identity. You got the bucket on one end, then right here, you're protecting your goal. Your guard and Jeremiah Francis at 6 feet tall stands in on a guy 9 inches taller than him and Moses Wright and takes the charge. That's the fight that needs to be omnipresent.
Yeah, Wright was pointing and Francis was well outside of that arc. Baycott played with a couple of fouls. Robinson. Short. Tip back out to Francis. Robinson reloads. Yes! Alvarado. Beautiful shot fake will send him to the free throw line.
Second chance opportunities. There haven't been many for North Carolina as the front line from the Yellow Jackets is answered. But here, this shot goes in. Take a look at that bench. They want this. There was definitely some sort of energy that occurred in that halftime talk. And I put in air quotes because I don't know if Coach got after him. These guys had a fire underneath them out of the gates here in the second stanza.
Alvarado drew the 3rd foul on Armando Baycott, and Alvarado splits. Brooks spinning and scoring. Excellent start to this second half for North Carolina.
You couldn't have asked for a better start from the Tar Heels. Baycott and Brooks better get a touch in half-court setting every time down till the end.
Alvarado off the ball screen, spinning and turning it over. Carolina on the run out. Robinson. Baycott plus a foul.
Okay, we got Carolina basketball on line 1. Running in space, Mr. Baycott, a rim run. Could that be what gets the freshman phenom back on track? One thing I do know for sure, Carolina's found their identity back here in the second half.
And to make matters worse for Georgia Tech, Jordan, that's 4 fouls on Michael DeVoe. Not even 2 full minutes into the second half for their leading scorer.
And all this that's been done has been without any scoring for Michael DeVoe. Unbelievable. Guy who averages 18 is scoreless, and yet still Georgia Tech has built this lead, which is dwindling, mind you.
From 20 to 12 in 2 minutes. And now Francis fouls Bubba Parham. So you said in the first half, the offense and the inability to make shots, it can't impact the defense. What do you see in these first few defensive possessions for Carolina?
But there's been effort. They've been protecting the goal. You've seen a charge, you've seen a turnover, you've seen rebounds. They've been running, something that's been a staple of success here for Carolina.
Right. Off the window up to 16.
You see how they come right back. They try to run on that initial thrust to get something.
He wanted touches every time in the half court, and Wright blocked Baycott. And it goes toward the Carolina bench.
That's why I felt like Georgia Tech had a favorable matchup here at Carolina, because they do have length and athleticism in that interior. Guys that are very hungry in chasing shot blocks and deflections in a guy like Wright and Banks. Nothing easy at the rim for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about with Josh Pastner at shoot-around today, and he was curious to see if and when Carolina would go to a smaller lineup. Robinson wanted a second look good out of the hand. It's Bacot spinning. Brooks scrapping, and the putback. He's already tied a career high with 20. Parham got hit on the head by Robinson.
Just the fight of Garrison Brooks. This is bully ball down low. I like the offering from Bacot. Can't get it to go, but look at Brooks. Wins the 50-50, knows what to do with it, and the crowd is doing all they can. I haven't seen him this lively in some time, trying to will this team back to where they belong.
What do you like about his intensity right now, Garrison Brooks?
There's leadership that's oozing out of him. After every play, whether it's him scoring or his team doing something positive, looking into the eyes of his guys, most notably Armando Bacot, saying, let's go.
Pierce wide open. Cole Anthony loves it.
On the doorstep of making this a single-digit deficit. Incredible.
And now can Georgia Tech stop the Carolina run? Parham missed it in close. Banks is battling. His putback is short. Francis. Robinson the tip. Brooks nearly brought this place down to the studs.
Offensive rebound. Carolina getting after it on the backboard. The want to, the fire has propelled them here. Robinson with that tip to Brooks that gave him the opportunity to literally blow the roof off this place and be converted out.
A new career high for Garrison Brooks, the junior leader from Lafayette, Alabama.
And you know when I knew that Garrison Brooks was going to come out here ready to play? Not the numbers and who he's been in this program. Guy was wearing a Bo Jackson throwback Raiders jersey walking into the arena.
Down to single digits for the first time since the 14:25 mark of the first half. Wright will go to the free throw line.
Without one star in Cole Anthony, but Garrison Brooks understands he has to be the load. And speaking of Cole Anthony, and we have found a ball game. This is off a second chance opportunity. Brandon Robinson gets it to go, then in transition because Bacot had the desire to run. He's in position for the rebound, but this young man, the leader, Garrison Brooks. Cole Anthony goes down. He has been the spotlight featured player. He has to be gluttonous, demanding that basketball, and must be fed every time down. Great things happen in a half-court setting when Brooks gets touches.
Still thinking about our lunch at Sutton's today? What's that?
So are you saying, speaking of gluttons? Yeah, I got after it today.
Well, look at this difference between the two halves so far. And how about some more numbers? First 21 possessions for North Carolina, they scored twice. Last 21 possessions, they have scored 18 times.
They started to get some stops. They've started to believe, and with that, it's been a domino effect of positivity.
Francis, short out of the corner. Roy Williams was telling us today he will be a very good shooter. And then Pierce stole it. Extra pass. Alvarado can push.
You're Georgia Tech here. You got to continue to be in attack mode. Continue to drive that thing. You've been able to beat these guards off the bounce. Stay aggressive. I know you feel like you're on your heels with the push from Carolina. They're dancing through Brachi here.
Alvarado dancing with Brooks. Got a switch. Cans a three. Much needed points.
It's a young man who's 5 of 27 beyond the arc coming into this game. That's 19% from three. That was a bad shot, but it went in, so it's a great shot.
He said this week, I will step up and make threes. You can count on that. I know the numbers that you just said. I know what I'm shooting percentage-wise.
He's my favorite competitor in this conference. He fights every possession.
Robinson banks one home.
Hit us with the MJ versus Portland. The shrug of the shoulders for different reasons, but he got it to go.
Man, we've had everything so far in this one. Another switch. It's Brooks on Alvarado. What a pass. Cole on the baseline.
Leaky Black froze up watching the basketball, allowed his guys guarding to blow right behind him on a back cut. That's a mental lapse defensively.
And how fun is Alvarado to watch right now?
Plays.
A little hesitation for Francis. No. A double team. Banks from right.
Now, you called for the double team. Pierce asked for the double, and it comes, but there's got to be a string effect of the third defender now needs to come down the help side, who did not, and that's just an easy delivery in the interior for a dunk.
Brooks stays with Carolina.
Defensive mental lapses. Here's the drive from Alvarado. Leaky Black totally loses sight of Cole right there. Cole with the finish. Then on the inside, they call for the double in the interior. That's got to be Robinson coming down. He's late. Leaky Black doesn't come down. No one's protecting the goal. Two mental lapses, costly in the comeback.
Out of a trap, a turnover. Alvarado can't get the roll. Cole the putback.
Just like that, back to 16. Credit to Georgia Tech, weathered the storm in a fight of their own in response.
The lob for Pierce from Robinson.
So now you're asking me about, looking at the score, but where you need to get to. For Carolina, without question, at the under 8, they need to have this thing in single digits. God, they're playing to another media here very short.
Back to 17, and Jose Alvarado, have yourself a night. Guy had 5 steals in the first half alone, the junior point guard from Brooklyn. Pierce passed it up. Francis, a deep one from the freshman. Wright got the seal, the bucket, and the foul. Georgia Tech has had answers here in the second half.
Two guys that have combined for 35 points for Georgia Tech. Jose Alvarado, usually it's his motor. It's been his outside stroke as he's gone off for 16 points. Moses Wright.
Scoring for Tony Bennett's team today, including a guy I know you had your eye on, Kihei Clark.
Yeah, Kihei Clark has been asked to do so much for that Virginia team. Scoring has been one of the things that a box he's had to check. Did so today, 18 points, and put up in position Braxton Key to score 18 of his own. It's those dribble drives. He makes the defense focus in on him, and he delivers in pristine scoring position for his guys. What a leader Clark has been for Virginia. Not great offense, but they find a way.
Isn't there just something great about an ACC Saturday? It's been a fun day across the conference. Remember, Wake won at Pitt Clemson took care of NC State at home, and then Florida State went into the Yum Center and beat Louisville by 13.
Love conference play. We get 20 of them this year.
Notre Dame Syracuse was a wild finish as well as Brooks scores. He builds on the career high, now up to 24.
That's understanding personnel, understanding your opponent. Banks, he hunts a shot block. That was a floater you're used to seeing a little guard doing traffic. Brooks gets it to go.
Alvarado, beautiful find, it's Cole! Whoa!
Those drives from Alvarado gets that defense totally disrupted and vulnerable. And watch the last line of defense, Brandon Robinson. He's not looking at the defender behind him. Completely exposed. And then a posterization worthy of a right celebration.
That was Christian Keeling who took the brunt of it. Moses Wright was fired up. Jose Alvarado practically came over to our table over here, and he was barking about it.
We trust a guy with 2 first names. His name's Evan Cole.
Francis gave it up. Brooks has had to carry the load, and there's Leaky Black with his first points.
Good defensive effort from Evan Cole. Leaky Black, sometimes better be lucky than good, loitering on that low block. Gifted one.
Cole's feeling it. Nearly banked it in from that impossible corner angle. Costly turnover. Banks from Alvarado.
About the decision making from Alvarado. Capitalizing off that opportunity. Cerebral in the delivery. Easy finish.
Keeling sneaks it in around Banks. Yeah, how good has Alvarado been? 16 points, 5 assists, 6 steals, 1 turnover.
And for a Georgia Tech team that's been giving it away almost 17 turnovers a game, they haven't even reached double-figure turnovers in this one because Alvarado provides that stability.
Left alone. Another 3. 4 of them for Alvarado.
He's just taunting the crowd after every play. Equal parts showman as he is producer.
Banks commits the foul underneath on Brooks.
That's how you take a look right here. You got the rebound, the outlet. You can easily blame, as Alvarado capitalized the Banks, you can easily blame your big fella in Brooks as Alvarado gets a 3 here as well. But Brooks is taught in this offense, grab that rebound, outlet, and go. And Keeling as a guard needs to understand, I gotta be looking, because that rebounder may be looking to push it my way.
And this is what Jose Alvarado said this week. I'm shooting 18% from 3, less than 30% on field goals. He owned it. He said, I got to man up, step up, and I will make threes. You can count on that. He's 4 of 5 from deep today.
Ooh, I got those Tebow chills. It's like the Tebow speech.
The promise.
Should we put this on a plaque down there in Atlanta? The promise from Jose Alvarado?
Isn't he fun to watch? And if you're an opposing fan base, maybe a guy you don't love as much when he's barking at the crowd.
Yeah, but the opponent has to take some pride in this happening on their floor, and they're not going to allow it.
Nearly gave it up. He's on the floor. So is Black. And Georgia Tech got a timeout.
I don't know about that one. Did he have possession to get it? These guys want it. A lot of fight for the 50-50s. It's tough a competitor as you'll find in college basketball. 6 feet tall, comfortable operating amongst the trees. And he's been getting it going from beyond the arc as well. Brooklyn native, like I said. He's a showman. Strumming the guitar. Let him know again, he's having fun out here on the floor of North Carolina. How about that duo, Mike?
Nearly 40 combined. Now the shot clock winding down on Usher and the Yellow Jackets. Keeling spinning. Brooks, who else to follow? All right, so 14-point game, still a long way to go, and this is where we get in the range of looking at what you said. Can it be single digits for Carolina? Under 8.
And you're on the doorstep. You need to put together a couple stops here. You'll be hovering right around it.
Alvarado turned it over, just his second tonight. Leaky Black. Goaltending, and it's down to 12.
There you go. Georgia Tech has been good with the basketball the majority of the day. You don't want to slip out of the character you've been in this afternoon to give Carolina a chance. A defunct Carolina offense still thrives in the open floor.
Little 6-0 burst for North Carolina. Georgia Tech has been so turnover prone. Do they get that way down the stretch? Michael DeVoe back in, playing with 4 fouls.
And it's tough for DeVoe because he's firmly out of rhythm. Having been saddled with the foul trouble, hasn't gotten going offensively. Let's see what he tries to do here.
Cole has been there all second half on the baseline. Touch last by Carolina, they say. According to Lee Cassell, and then Sean Hull steps in.
Evan Cole manning that baseline short corner has done a fantastic job as a receiver. Love the fight here from Moses Wright. Equally love the fight of the Carolina defense not to give up on the play.
They did come in and swap that call. So 12-point game. North Carolina trailed by as many as 24. Biggest comeback in program history, 22. Georgia Tech has not won here in 10 years, you saw. Shot clock winding down. Here's Keeling. Offensive foul.
Keeling made up his mind at the catch on the wing. He was getting to the cup. Obvious charge. Failure to execute. The story for Carolina.
Just to go here in Chapel Hill.
North Carolina has to do a better job here protecting the goal. Georgia Tech in attack mode. And Alvarado on that catch beyond the 3-point line. You better respect it. Given opportunities, Tar Heels put real game pressure on Georgia Tech if they get it into single digits.
Michael DeVoe. His first points come 33 minutes into the game.
That's huge. It protects a double-figure lead.
Robinson. Baycott on the offensive glass. No. Brooks. What hasn't he done? He's got 30.
The heart of Brooks. I mean, these are grinding baskets that he's getting.
Off the turnover. Keeling. 2 more.
10-point game.
Got the trap, but Alvarado escapes it. Robinson reaches in, and the foul on the floor.
Georgia Tech has been turnover prone. They give it away 17 times a game. Did it 20 times in that Florida State loss. An errant pass from DeVoe, who's probably out of rhythm, right over to Keeling, who makes the right decision. And that game pressure is now upon Georgia Tech. How will they handle it? A team that at times doesn't value the basketball. Got to make the right decisions because that pressure is coming from UNC.
How do they handle the pressure was your question, with the 1-and-1 coming for Alvarado. We just had Georgia Tech players barking at each other. Michael DeVoe and Moses Wright.
Yeah, you talk about that game pressure, and it's not so much yelling, and you'll see this between players. It's Moses Wright saying, let's go, man, let's get focused. It's our time, so it's not dissension. It's basically one guy firing up another.
And at the start of that sequence, Jose Alvarado was hobbling. He checks out of the game right now with 6:51 left.
That's huge. He's your everything. And DeVoe not in his rhythm, saddled with that foul trouble. It's not the same DeVoe that you've been getting all season.
Baycott, a risky post pass. Brooks, and a foul call.
It's a very risky pass from Baycott. Threading the needle with that bounce pass. Still don't know how it was able to make it through the teeth of that defense. But once Brooks gets his paws on it, advantage Brooks.
30 points for Garrison Brooks. Roy Williams tied with Dean Smith, 879 wins. His team got down by as many as 24. Alvarado returns from Georgia Tech. Meanwhile, Garrison Brooks, 62% at the free throw line in his career. He was 12 of 12 before that miss.
You didn't mention it, so I can't put the jinx on
Right,
you.
that's why I waited.
Yeah. Oh, did him no good that you made it.
Proper etiquette when you're a guest.
We should practice it somewhere.
11-point game, 6.5 left in the second half. Alvarado.
How is Alvarado left that wide open? The sense of urgency came a tick too late, but Carolina dodges one there. You don't get more open.
Big night for the junior point guard from Brooklyn. There's some question as to who had possession there. They did give it to Carolina. Risky pass by Keeling and a turnover. Man. How about the fire?
You don't get to winning as many games as he does without, and a lot of guys maybe hit that board a little harder. Coach Williams has been around the block. He wants to save that right hand.
He's a big golf guy. That's called laying up. Parham scoots in to save it. DeVoe. Wow, nice take and the roll.
And there is a perfect example of poor defense from Carolina.
And poor offense. Another careless and costly turnover. 15 of them in total.
It's too easy going to the rim. Drive from DeVoe. Now watch Baycott, right side of the screen. What kind of effort is that? With the game on the line and the drive, what kind of effort is that from the big man to prevent a layup?
Given right back. 13-point game, 5.5 to go. Brooks is fouled. I mean, Brooks has totally emptied the tank. You can see it on his face.
Yeah, just running the floor here. I thought it seemed as clean as it could possibly be. I don't love that whistle. Lord is right for good reason, but you got to love the effort from Brooks. Running the floor, not giving up on second chance, demanding the basketball in the interior, firing his teammates up. What more can you ask? The guy's making his free throws even. It's unbelievable.
14 of 15 at the free throw line. A fellow big man, Jordan Cornette. What do you say to that?
I can't even get my words out properly, and this guy's making free throws. Talk about it being in a different class.
33 for Garrison Brooks, the junior. Carolina will go smaller here. Baycott out, Pierce in.
Here's the focus. Got to get some pressure here. Try and turn Georgia Tech over. Robinson hobbling. I wonder if that's a leg cramp he's working through here. Robinson clearly in pain, tasked with defending Alvarado.
Alvarado trying to get to the cup, the kick. Parham got it.
The resiliency of this bunch, these guards. Coach Passner asked for guard play for his team to have a shot. He's got that answer. Cerebral in nature, with the game on the line, in rhythm, couple bounces and an elbow shot. I think Robinson cramped up here, wincing in pain. Alvarado gets the advantage, kicks out, but Parham, it's all repetition. All repetition.
Robinson now going to check out. Remember, he missed the first 4 games of the season with the ankle injury. Remember, had the sickness earlier this year, didn't play the second half against Gonzaga. Brooks, the rare miss, got it right back, and now he's fouled. And they get it on Alvarado, so that's 4 for Jose Alvarado. Same as DeVoe, same as Banks. Those 3 all with 4 for Georgia Tech.
With this fight that we continue to talk about with Brooks, equal parts, you got to look at his interior counterpart, Armando Baycott, and say, we got a little bit more from a guy who's a next level player. This one goes our way, but the struggles for Armando Baycott continue. Missed a few easy ones at the rim. he almost checked out offensively after that.
Front end of the 1-and-1 is good for Garrison Brooks. Talk about Baycott, 4 points, 1 of 6 from the floor. His last 5 games now, 9 of 38 from the floor for the freshman. But Brooks picking them up in a big way in this one. He's got 35 tonight.
Throwing away his career high.
Had been 20 for Garrison Brooks.
That's not beating it. That's distancing yourself.
Dribbling from DeVoe, matched up with Brooks. He likes it. Got by the big. Can't float it home. Banks is fouled.
It all starts from the driving lane. Good shots beget good offensive rebounding opportunities. The fact that DeVoe was able to carve him up and get there puts Banks in great position for a putback.
62% free throw shooter. Coming up after the game, it's the all-ACC team with highlights, analysis, interviews, and everything else. Nobody covers the ACC like we do. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. We understand Seth Greenberg, the coach, part of the world's greatest podcast. We understand he was quite animated at halftime, as you might expect.
We talk about being a showman in Alvarado. He hasn't seen a showman like Coach Seth Greenberg.
Absolutely love it. Georgia Tech, you see, 10 years. Last time they won here in Chapel Hill. Up by a dozen, 4:15 left. Pierce will shoot a pair.
Brooks making the scoring pass, putting Pierce in position. Another winning play for Brooks. Solid job of Pierce also moving with the basketball. Pierce, look, the numbers still aren't great, although he had his best game in a Carolina uniform versus Yale last game. He's starting to understand his footing in this offense. So if you're looking for more positives, that's one to start to hone in on as well. He's not where he needs to be by any means, but he's improving. And that's all you can ask for.
And he had said it going into that game. I haven't really been playing as well as I need to, but 14-7 on Monday. 61% free throw shooter. Good on both.
People were enamored with the Cameron Johnson impact he had as a transfer coming in and knocked down just about every other three he took it as a pro.
Crowd to its feet. DeVoe's got to get it in, and he does to Parham. Alvarado. That is a savvy play by the upperclassman. Now probing. Banks. Loose ball. Banks has it. And the flush. Going to the line and a chance at 3.
Tell you, I don't know about James Banks the first or the second, but the third is a bad man. If at first you don't succeed. Start with Garrison Brooks, what he's given North Carolina. He's been everything, fought tooth and nail. But that theme continues on with Georgia Tech. Jose Alvarado missed 7 games with injury. Is starting to find his groove. Found a little bit of it in the Diamond Head Classic, and he's fully found his footing. Moses Wright provided that toughness down low, and that's infectious. Then James Banks makes the play we just saw that has him at the free throw line, because these guys believe now, and it really had an impact down low.
You want to talk about toughness. That's the 5th and 1 opportunity for Georgia Tech. They've been finishing through that contact at the rim. Robinson has come back in, did that before the timeout.
This is where lack of shooting hurts you. North Carolina 5-11 from distance. Can't really get the threes in bunches like you'd hope.
Black on the baseline.
Bad place to pick up the dribble, dodge the bullet.
Alvarado, the no look for Banks, and it popped back out. Carolina can get it to single digits.
Gotta have something here.
Black left alone.
Banks is a presence down low. Leaky Black had to rethink it.
Francis.
Nope.
You can tell right out of his hand. Lead has been as large as 24. Carolina has got as close as 9. They could have got to single digits again. Wow, great hustle by Robinson.
Gotta get something quick.
Robinson's their shooter. Back iron. How about the effort from Poro? Wow.
Are you kidding me?
At the feet of Roy Williams, nonetheless.
Just shy of the Dennis Rodman iconic dive where it fully lays out. Just short of the effort on that.
Right plus a foul.
Give me that Dennis Rodman dive again. Let me see it. Look at Poro. Not as much elevation, no. But the want for the basketball, absolutely. And Garrison Brooks, check out the appreciation from this crowd.
Fouls out with 2:21 left after he emptied the tank. Nearly doubled his career high tonight. 35 points, 11 rebounds. The most points by a North Carolina player since Bryce Johnson nearly had 40. 4 years ago to the day.
Most impressive performance I've seen in conference so far this season.
I mean, 17 of 18 at the free throw line for your big fella. Crowd imploring Leaky Black to shoot that. He's on the glass. And the tip rolls down for Justin Pierce. And Roy Williams, who always hoards his timeouts, uses one. 1:51 to go. We are back right after this. State down the road in Raleigh in the opener and overtime by 1.
And the struggles for Carolina, they are mounting. Armando Bacot, his inconsistency will be spotlighted. You know about the offensive struggles of North Carolina, but you've given up 90 points to a Georgia Tech team that scores 66 points per game. So now you're looking at that side of the floor too. A lot of questions with the Tar Heels.
Alvarado passed up a 3 for the much easier 2. 23 for the junior.
This was not supposed to be, for Tar Heels fans, how this day was going to go.
What Josh Pastner say to us today at shoot-around? Let's delay the celebration to next week. With all due respect.
Great respect for Coach Williams, but let's hold off on the celebration for another day. He got his wish, and it's because of some play from his key pieces.
Robinson falling away for 3.
Now you're seeing hesitancy from these shooters. These guys are catching beyond the arc and fully aware of their percentages and inefficiencies, and are now hesitant to take shots.
Georgia Tech ball, and they will have a look at this. Justin Pierce could not believe the initial call from Lee Cassell.
And this will come back to Carolina. I do believe it was off the foot of Georgia Tech, not off Pierce as originally whistled. It's going to take some convincing because the ruling initially on the court was that it was Georgia Tech basketball. Let's take a look. I don't know. I thought it came down on the foot of right. It clearly did not in the replay here. This might be too close to call.
Right there on the left hand of
hard
right
to see
at the end.
Hard to see in the 2 angles we've seen so far. Maybe this one will give us clarity. I think the body of Moses makes it difficult there. Here's going to be our best look. I just don't see enough to overturn this one.
Yeah, they're sticking with the initial call.
Yeah, I don't see enough there. How much riding on that one? Really tough to say. A lot as you're down 11 with a minute left.
For Josh Pastner, you said it. This is 6 and 7 Georgia Tech team trying to get to 2 and 2 in the ACC, a program that hasn't won here in 10 years, like we told you. And he was pointing out some history to us today. The last game that Dean Smith ever coached, 1997, Final Four against Lute Olson's Arizona team. Josh Pastner was a freshman on that team.
Yeah, you kind of get left in the dust when you mention guys like Miles Simon, who are on that team, and Mike Bibby. But he was a member of that team. But going back to Georgia Tech, they haven't had much history in this building. A positive, you mentioned 2010. That's when Armand Shumpert went off for 30 in that win for Georgia Tech. Shumpert's been a long-time pro since. It speaks to how long it's been since Georgia Tech has come into this place and left with their chest puffed out.
What do you make of Georgia Tech going forward and how they fit in the ACC?
I think it's a team that makes games muddied up. They really get into you in guard, but they've got fearless competitors and rim protectors. Rarely are you going to see them win a game, score 94 points. It's just not who they are. But it came together against a vulnerable North Carolina defense that came out flat.
Final 45 seconds, and Georgia Tech handles the pressure. Doesn't get any easier for Georgia Tech. They are home on Wednesday right here on ACC Network against Duke. 9 p.m. for that one. Then they're at Boston College next Saturday right here on ACCN as well. If you're a Tech fan, this is the place to be. Tonight, the first of 5 straight on ACC Network for the Yellow Jackets as Banks stamps this one in Chapel Hill. Black in the final 10 seconds. (96-83). Georgia Tech comes into Chapel Hill, delays history, and Josh Pastner's team with a huge victory. Coming up next, all ACC with Katie, Luke, and Seth. For Jordan Cornett, producer Alex Farmartino, director Michael Sullivan, I'm Mike Monaco saying so long from Chapel Hill. Let's